How's it going, everybody? This is Rob Novakast back with another video for you guys. And we'll be doing another reaction, this time focusing on a video from the Actman, one of his recent videos. Now, I was going to have the lights on, but for some reason I'm still having them fall off, or to an extent, they're not sticking to my bookshelf, so I'm going to figure out a permanent way of doing that. But anyway, let's go ahead and, well, not permanent, semi-permanent. But anyways, let's go ahead and get right into this. Rewriting the Halo TV show. Now, where do I begin with this? Because I have not seen the Halo TV show yet. And I'm going to be honest, I've heard a lot of bad things, and I'm afraid to watch it. So, yeah, this could go bad very quickly. So let's go ahead and get right into this. The Actman's rewriting the Halo TV show.
Team, looks like we finally got the go-ahead to make the Halo TV show a reality. I've written a bunch of great ideas down.
Oh my god.
Your feedback and thoughts. For starters, I think
the faces, okay.
And maybe
I think the Master Chief should take his helmet off in the first episode.
I think that's a fantastic idea.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, I see where he's going with this.
I agree with that.
No, we
okay.
can't take off Master Chief's helmet in the first episode. People are going to be pissed.
Yeah.
People have never seen Master Chief's face. It needs to be done with dignity and care.
Yeah.
I think we should wait until the very end of season 1 to reveal his face.
But it...
Yeah, that's what I heard. Is like the very first episode they took off his helmet. That was dumb. I appreciate. I mean, to that kind of respect. Or at least, you know, I guess something similar. I kind of appreciated like shows like Mandalorian, where like with the first at the very least for the first season, for almost the entirety of the first season, he does not take off his helmet, and only to the point of like where he's like dying, where they briefly reveal his face, but then close it back up, because most of the series he doesn't take off his helmet, only on certain points.
Master Chief don't take his helmet off in the first episode, then how does he have a sex scene?
What do you mean sex scene? This is Halo
Why?
we're talking about.
But
Why?
if Chief doesn't have a sex scene, then how are we going to make Cortana watch it?
Sounds fantastic.
That's the whole plan.
You want Master Chief to strip naked and fuck some chick?
They don't call him Master Cheeks for nothing.
You know,
Oh my god, that stupid meme. Come on.
nobody likes Sergeant Johnson. I think we should take him out of the show entirely.
I like
Whoever thought that, you guys are dicks. I like Sergeant Johnson.
that idea. Let's give you a raise.
All right, I'm out of here.
Yeah, fuck that.
Everybody, this is the Actman here, and today we're going to use our imagination. Close your eyes for a moment.
Okay.
Now, picture a world where the Halo TV series wasn't written by crackheads, but instead
That's most of Hollywood anyways.
screenwriters who appreciate
Oh my
the
god,
essence
no.
of Halo. Open your eyes. This is the society we'd be living in. That's right, folks. We're going to be rewriting the Halo TV series to make it not suck ass. Based
Yeah.
on what we got, it shouldn't be too hard to improve upon Jimmy Rings and the clap of his ass cheeks.
Cortana, I'm trying to sneak into high charity, but I'm dummy thick and the crap of my cheeks here keeps alerting the flood.
I want this to be an exercise in creative writing for all of us, so please post your thoughts, opinions, and ideas
Oh
in the
my
comments
God.
below, and let's get a discussion going so we can escape reality, if but for a brief moment. I find it interesting to compare how The Last of Us was received versus the Halo show.
Okay, so Last of Us, 96 on Rotten Tomatoes, average audience score, 89. That's, I mean, to be fair, I haven't seen the rest of Last of Us, which I might want to do a series of that. But to an extent, I mean, watching the first episode, holy shiza. They did good. They did good with the first episode. I mean, a lot of things are different, and to an extent, I kind of anticipated that. But ultimately, yeah, they pulled it off. They pulled it off. And Halo, apparently, yeah, is bad.
It's pretty night and day. I was even more shocked when my parents asked me if I'd ever watched The Last of Us, because the last time my parents played a video game was on the NES in the late 80s. This
Yeah.
made it clear to me that a popular video game story could be adapted to television and appeal to a broader audience if done right.
Yes.
Halo did not do it right. So the first
Yeah.
question, what can we salvage from the Halo show as it is? Nothing.
Absolutely fucking nothing.
We're completely
Oh, God.
scrapping this silver timeline crap.
Get the fuck out of here!
The only reason the silver timeline existed is because the showrunners wanted an excuse to deviate from the source material, and the silver timeline was their attempt at creating a shield that would deflect criticism. So my idea is for season 1, we focus on the story in Combat Evolved, while
Yeah.
also integrating some side stories and expanded lore from the books. Combat Evolved has an incredible story, and given the game's somewhat primitive methods of storytelling, there's endless potential in showing things we never got to see, like how Johnson escaped. We can have Foehammer actually appear on screen.
You know our motto. We deliver.
So I had this.
Oh yeah, Foehammer. Ah man, it was sucked when that character died. Again, a voiceless character. I mean, not voiceless, but you know, a faceless character that, to an extent, had. It was pretty cool when they showed up for the moments when they come in with the Pelican. I somewhat felt bad. It sounds bad when I say this, but I somewhat felt bad when you're doing the final run in Halo, the Combat Evolved, and you end up seeing like what happens to her if you stick around, which is again very, very sad.
Idea that Master Chief would take off his helmet at the end of the last episode of season 1, just like he did in the original, except unlike the original, we actually show his face. Here's the thing, my idea is that we keep the identity of the actor playing Chief a complete secret under NDA. This would spark a lot of discussion and intrigue amongst fans as they try to theorize and figure out who's playing Master Chief. That way you could even have Steve Downes voice him if you wanted. So for season 1 of the Halo show, I envision 10 episodes that mimic the 10 levels of Combat Evolved. We keep the same names.
Okay.
They're fucking awesome and they're intriguing.
What about to an extent, like maybe I think for a TV series it would have been really cool to maybe show like the beginning of like the Spartan program, like at the very least, like because it sets up this whole thing. I know a bit of the lore. I haven't read the books, but I know a little bit of the lore, especially with what they had to do to obtain or create the Spartan program. Like maybe like showing some of what the Covenant has been doing, or at least is starting, like as they progress and grow in strength, and you have Halsey and her scientists and everybody that's working in I think it's Oni, basically, you know, collecting these kids. I know they did that in the animated series, but honestly it would have been cool to see that in live action.
But first, I got a question for you. Are you tired of drinking boring old water? Looking for a way to spice it up? And
Okay.
Air Up. I know a lot of people who don't enjoy drinking regular water, so they go through most of life being totally dehydrated.
What?
If you're one of those people, then Air Up is the perfect fix for you. Now, before I give you my special discount code, let me explain how the science works. With the special water bottle come these flavored pods that you can easily insert in the top of the bottle. So the flavor of the pod is not actually in the water, but the scent travels to your brain and you perceive it as flavor. And there's so many flavors to choose from, so you'll probably find something you like. This thing has replaced my regular water bottle, and I take it everywhere I go because I like to stay healthy and stay hydrated. It works best with filtered water, but you can also use it with regular tap. Along with the special water bottle, you'll get a 3-pack of flavored pods. You can choose different sizes of water bottles, colors, and all sorts of flavors. So what are you waiting for? Order your special Air Up water bottle today and use the code ACTMAN15 at checkout to get 15% off your entire order. Help. That's actually kind of cool. So just kind of trying to understand how this box works, or this bottle works. So it's a pod, or a scented pod. So when you drink, it will release, or it will produce a smell of whatever flavor, and your brain interprets it as the flavor as you're drinking the water. That's actually an interesting. The hydration never tasted this good. And thank you, Air Up, for sponsoring this video.
And now for something completely different.
Come on, man. I just noticed that he uses that clip a lot for a lot of his videos, which, I'm not gonna lie, it's a good clip. Pillar of Autumn.
The show begins just like the end of Halo Reach. We have a dramatic shot of the Pillar of Autumn leaving the planet. On the ground, we see a lone Spartan. The audience sees destruction, debris, and countless human bodies. Noble Six watches as the Pillar of Autumn makes a blind jump into slip space and prepares for his last fight as Covenant cruisers glass the planet in the background. Title screen. I like the idea of the prologue beginning at the end of Halo Reach, as it shows the audience what the Covenant are capable of, what they just got done doing, and it sets up a potential prequel series should the show do well. So you'd have the same opening scene on the bridge. Keyes and Cortana find Installation 04. While I think a majority of the show should focus on the human side, I 100% want to add scenes from the Covenant perspective. Thelvadamy, aka the Arbiter, would function as the spear and leader of the Covenant. The Prophet of Stewardship was a prophet in the lore who clumsily commanded the fleets and troops in the Battle of Installation 04. So basically, he made a bunch of fuck-ups, the ring gets destroyed, and Thelvadamy basically takes the blame for his mistakes, leading to his trial at the start of Halo 2. So
that's actually a clever idea. Really is. It's sad that, you know, people that aren't in Hollywood come up with better ideas.
we want to show that throughout each episode. I think it'd also be cool to have the Heretic leader and shipmaster aboard Thelvadamy's fleets and the Covenant ships, and they help out and do different things across the ring. After the bridge scene, we cut to the Covenant cruisers, and the Prophet of Stewardship is overcome with emotions upon seeing the Halo ring, and he makes the irrational decision to command the fleet not to fire on the Pillar of Autumn for fear of damaging the sacred ring. Instead, they decide to send boarding parties, and we get shots of elites and grunts getting ready for combat, which directly contrasts the scenes of Marines preparing for combat. Now, in Combat Evolved, they had Marine characters, but you know, they basically die and reappear in later missions, so during gameplay, it always felt a little weird. We need characters that can add personality and charm to the UNSC.
Yeah.
That can be killed off for emotional moments.
Oh.
Johnson, of course he's in. He would command the Marines, but have his own personal squad consisting of the troops that end up going to the weapons cache in the swamp. There's a character named Antonio Silva, who in the lore commanded the ODSTs on board the Pillar of Autumn. That's right, there were ODSTs on board. So fuck yeah, we get to put those in too. Since Halo took a lot of
that would actually be really freaking cool to see ODSTs.
Inspiration from the movie Aliens, I think basing the vibe of the Marines and their chemistry on that film is a great idea. Now, to be fair, the only thing I would take from the Halo
I like that
is
idea.
the level of gore and violence. I think showing the brutality of the Covenant and their weapons was a great move, and we want to do that for the entirety of this show as well.
Oh god.
In the cryo chamber are slaughtered. Chief sprints through the ship, encountering Chip's Dubbo, who throws him an assault rifle. I figure giving Chief a weapon as he fights his way to the bridge would be more exciting than him not having one at all. Now, when Chief puts the Cortana chip in his helmet, I think it'd be cool to get brief visions of Chief's past, and have Cortana remark on these memories. Johnson and his squads would accompany Master Chief as he fights his way through the ship, trying to save as many people as possible and get them safely aboard the lifeboats. Now, a big question is how to write Chief. Remember, this needs to be written for an audience that is not playing a video game, and therefore Chief cannot serve his traditional role as a somewhat silent vessel for the player. He should still be reserved and deliver some badass lines, but I'm going to throw a curveball your way and say, this is where we're going to take inspiration from Halo 4's Chief.
What you say is heresy.
I'm not saying Chief...
Okay. I think I've said it before, and I keep leaning in the thing, so... I think I've said it before. I'm somebody who actually somewhat enjoyed what they did with Master Chief. Hate me all you want. I honestly, the way the emotional, like the route they went, where it seems a little bit more emotional, or to an extent, he's kind of, especially with like the concern of Cortana and her safety and her, like with her quote unquote mortality. Him basically kind of going back and forth of being a soldier and being, you know, just a person. We see, I mean, for the most part, we see, or through his voice, hear him being reserved and basically on target when it comes to the task at hand. But with the emotional moments, we also see moments of him being vulnerable. Like in the instance where we see, you know, Cortana saying goodbye to him. And to a degree, even that kind of extending more into Halo 5. Again, that one, I will agree, a lot of people, it did make a lot of people happy. But it extended onto that whole emotional vulnerability that, or human vulnerability that they set up with Master Chief. So, anyway.
Chief should be as emotionally vulnerable as he is in 4. In that game, Chief is written to be more involved in the plot and in dialogue.
Yeah.
So ideally, throughout this series, he and Cortana would be the ones talking strategy and planning with Captain Keyes or whoever. Chief rescues the Marines, they board the life pod, and the Pillar of Autumn begins its descent. The Marines fear for their lives, but Chief reassures them that they'll be fine. Right before the life pod crashes onto the ring, it fades to white.
Okay. Episode 2, Halo.
Chief is momentarily shell-shocked. His helmet came off when the lifeboat crashed into the ring, and as he tries to find it, we get more flashbacks to his past. Eventually, he finds his helmet and puts it back on. But through clever lighting and camera work, Chief's face is completely obscured, or not shown on screen. It's important that we see John take damage throughout the series, because if he's portrayed as this invincible juggernaut from start to finish, it'll take most of the tension out of the action scenes. A major focus of the second episode would be to show off the beauty, architecture, mystery, intrigue, and wonder of the Halo ring. But it'll also have a lot of Chief and Cortana moments to establish how they work together. He arrives at a spire and encounters Johnson, fighting for his life alongside his squad. Johnson, Chief, Cortana, and PhaynIngmar discuss plans to rescue the other survivors, but as they do, more dropships arrive. Some of the crewmates from the bridge are visibly shaken. They cower in the corner, but Johnson gives one of his world-famous pep talks to get them to pull their shit together.
You hit Marine?
No, sir.
Then listen up!
Afterwards, PhaynIngmar drops off a Warthog, picks up the injured survivors, but Jenkins and Johnson stay with Chief and the Warthog, and they go to find the others. They try to contact Captain Keyes, and they hope he's alright. Another idea I have is that PhaynIngmar and Johnson, they gotta be flirting, okay? They need a romantic thing going throughout the series. We don't need Master Cheeks laying pipe on a female arbiter, because Johnson knows what the ladies like. There's your sex appeal, showrunners. It's right fucking there, in that glorious mustache.
Hoorah!
We then cut to Captain Keyes and his crew, who escaped on a lifeboat. Most of them survive, but they're all pretty shaken by the impact. The reprieve is short-lived as Covenant drop pods land and surround them. Keyes and his men put up a valiant fight against the Covenant, but are eventually forced to surrender and are taken captive. A dropship arrives. Keyes looks up, and he sees the white armor of the shipmaster. I think this would be awesome because we never saw what happened to Keyes between the first and third missions, and I think seeing notable Covenant characters on the ring doing something, I think that would be cool. The rest of this episode plays out mostly the same. There's an intense sniper shootout atop the hill. PhaynIngmar arrives just as their position is about to be overrun, and they all escape.
Episode Truth and Reconciliation.
In order to rescue Captain Keyes, Chief and the others devise a stealthy approach. They send some ODSTs with silenced SMGs, Johnson and his squad, as well as the Chief. As they fight on the cliffside, we cut to Captain Keyes being led through the purple hallways of the Truth and Reconciliation. He's tortured for information before being tossed in a cell. Now, there was always something a little bit off about Keyes learning what the Halo ring is. So to fix this, I think we show scenes of a couple of elites talking. Now, what we do is, when we see Covenant talking from a human point of view, they're speaking a foreign language. If it's just elites or members of the Covenant on screen, then it appears in English to us. But let's say that Keyes understands the Sangheili language, so as he's listening to them speak, we get subtitles. Meanwhile, Thel Vadimi is upset that he had to relinquish control of the mission to the Prophet of Stewardship, who has little to no military experience. The stage is set for a power struggle amongst the leaders of the Covenant. As the Marines clear the drop zone around the gravity lift, Johnson, Jenkins, and the others are fatigued, and that's when hunters show up for the first time. They kill several Marines and ODSTs. Johnson gets wounded in this fight by a stray fuel rod blast, so PhaynIngmar picks up the injured Marines and ODSTs and drops off a batch of new ones. These Marines accompany Chief aboard the ship, and they all float up into the grav lift. The Marines are stunned by the interior of the Covenant ship, as none of them have ever been inside one. But even more surprised that Cortana can't seem to find any Covenant defenses.
What? There's no Covenant here. I think maybe nobody's home.
Somebody is home. And we get an awesome action sequence with the invisible sword elites. As they fight their way to the bridge, there's an intense showdown with the Gold Zealot and Chief. He defeats the Zealot and leaves the squad of Marines there to watch their retreat. It's time for a prison break.
Coming here was reckless. You two know better than this. Thanks.
We cut back to the Marines on the bridge just kind of dicking around. And we watch in horror as they get massacred by more invisible sword elites. And the rest of the episode plays out the same, with Keyes piloting a Covenant dropship to fly them all out of there.
Alright. I gotta say right now, I mean, the way he's kind of breaking it down, like, to rewrite the season 1 of Halo, not gonna lie, it's actually, the way he's putting it is actually really good.
Now, in Combat Evolved's campaign, we would often jump between missions without really seeing how our characters get from one place to the next. So one thing that could create build-up to each action scene is seeing how our characters plan their strategy, using maps and smart tactics. I, for one, would love to see where each of these missions actually takes place geographically on the ring. The beginning of Episode 4 would be a bombastic, action-packed sequence across the beaches, but alongside the Pelicans, Captain Keyes would fly in with the commandeered Covenant dropship. Not much else to say about Episode 4. I'd pretty much follow the plot of Silent Cartographer as it is. They discover the location of Halo's control room while Keyes, Johnson, and others get prepped to investigate a hidden weapons cache deep in the swamps.
Okay.
PhaynIngmar arrives carrying Chief, and a lone grunt runs away frightened. Chief comes across another fire team in need of assistance that include a character named Melissa McKay, who, in the lore, is a first lieutenant and executive officer of the ODST battalion. She'll be important later on. Chief assists the battered squad and uses a nearby rocket launcher to destroy a wraith in the distance. As PhaynIngmar arrives to pick them up, her Pelican is shot down, and I thought it'd be cool if she joined Chief and the others on foot to continue their assault on the control room. This would be the one and only time that Chief hops aboard the Scorpion, and we can have some fun with that. The Prophet of Stewardship asks Thel if the forces sent to the swamp have found the hidden weapons cache. Thel says they have, but they lose communication with these troops shortly after.
Alrighty. And then Guilty Spark.
So fucking cool to see on the big screen.
Oh yeah, you have Guilty Spark. The first time you would ever see the flood.
Out Cortana, he arrives in the swamps and sees a downed Pelican with stockpiles of ammo and supplies, but no Marines. A distress beacon is heard, but much of it is distorted by static. Still, confirms Chief's suspicions that this is where Captain Keyes was last seen.
Okay.
Chief makes his way through the jungle, noticing that the Covenant forces consisting of jackals and grunts are extremely disorganized. There are no elites anywhere to be seen. He attempts to reach out to any local Marines via radio, but suddenly notices his radar lights up. There are friendlies around. He looks around and sees the visage of someone or something running into the jungle. If they can hear him, why haven't they responded? Chief moves towards the weapons cache. Master Chief tells PhaynIngmar he's descending into the temple, but loses contact with her. Now, Chief is truly alone. What follows is a slow unfolding of the horrors that occurred here. I mean, there's so much room for environmental, silent, horrific storytelling. Blood is everywhere. Corpses are stacked behind barricades. Any Covenant troops still left alive that the Chief encounters are huddled together in corners, nervously checking their surroundings, as if they expect an attack at any moment. Master Chief encounters a lone Marine. He rocks back and forth with pistol in hand. Chief takes the gun from him and tries to calm the man down, but he won't listen.
Alright, that's his notes. I've got it. Where's your assault rifle? Lost. Running. Need my M60. Give it back. Running from what? Need my gun. Running from what, soldier? I need my fucking gun. Corporal Jenkins grabs it. Oh, okay. So I gotta move my thing because it. Oh no, I had it out of the way, but it says then Master Chief reaches down to his hip, pulls out his M60 pistol, and hands it to the soldier. Grip first. Corporal Jenkins grabs it out of Master Chief's hand, jams it straight into his mouth, and blows his brains out right on the wall behind. If we could see Master Chief's face, it would be stunned. Oh wow, that's actually a good note. That would actually, I mean, this probably being like a mature show, yeah, I could totally see that happening where you see the guy freaking out and then just deciding to, kill himself.
Pistol. I need my pistol, he says. Reluctantly, Chief hands the pistol back to the man. Come on, he says. We need to find the captain. Chief turns and sees the lifeless corpse of the Marine sprawled on the floor. Also, because Chief doesn't have a traditional face in this series, we need to show what he's feeling based on like his head movements. The flashback recording, the flood reveal, all of that I would handle pretty much the same. I think it'd also be cool if Chief saw signs that Marines, Jackals, and Grunts all fought together in like a last-ditch, desperate alliance to try and survive. Chief encounters a group of 3 Marines that are still alive in the facility somehow, but they too are cut down almost instantly as Chief is helpless to save them. But the first encounter with the Flood combat forms is one of the few, if not the only time, we see Chief genuinely terrified and rattled. He has no radio contact to the rest of the UNSC or PhaynIngmar. He doesn't have Cortana to give him guidance or advice, and as far as he knows, all the other Marines are dead, turned into these things, which is why it makes so much sense for Chief to run into Johnson as they both try to escape the facility.
We can use your help, sir.
Upon seeing each other, they both almost shit their pants, and Johnson looks like hammered shit. His hands tremble as he can barely aim his assault rifle. And this time, it's the Chief who gives the pep talk to Johnson. The two would fight their way out together, encountering the other group of Marines at the top of the elevator. But in the jungle, Chief gets separated from Johnson and the others when Spark teleports him to the top of the facility and then to the library. Johnson's eyes dart around, his face filled with dread. He begins to sob as the man most capable to protect him, who was at his side just a moment ago, is nowhere to be seen. Sergeant Johnson falls to his knees.
All right, and then the library.
How to handle Combat Evolved's most notorious mission? Well, I think 343 Guilty Spark should mostly focus on Chief's perspective. This one would be half and half. Half Chief, half Covenant. I'd also write Guilty Spark to be more expository and give insight into the Flood, their history, and the history of the Forerunners. I'd also recreate some of the scenes from the terminals that detail Spark's loneliness and his duties on the ring, so we'd get to know him more. I think while Chief fights through the gauntlet in the library, we would see the power struggle between Thalvadamy and other members of the Covenant and the Prophet of Stewardship. As things are rapidly falling apart, they're unable to contact High Charity, and the elite who would become the heretic leader is ordered to take a contingent of Covenant forces to a nearby gas mine. The Prophet of Stewardship continues to mishandle the war effort, but Shipmaster stays by Arbiter's side, assuring him that they will not let the Flood escape this ring. Guilty Spark informs Chief that the Flood have started to repair the Pillar of Autumn, revealing their intentions to spread the infection beyond the ring. The Flood are now a threat to the entire galaxy. And throughout this episode, Spark is earning Chief's trust and manipulating him into doing what he thinks needs to be done. Eventually, John will retrieve the index, Guilty Spark takes it from him, and the two are teleported away. The episode begins much the same, with Chief and Spark arriving at Halo's control room. There's the big reveal and the two betrayals. It might be one of the harder missions to adapt, as in the game it doesn't contain all that much story. To fill this gap, I'd say we'd have extended flashback sequences whenever John touches the phase pulse generators, and we'd learn more about the Spartan program, Halsey, and how she shaped the Master Chief into who he is today. I think it'd also be cool if Jenkins reappears in this episode as he searches for someone to end his life in his torment. In the lore, he was infected, but the Flood form that infected him was really old, so it wasn't complete. We still had some level of consciousness, and I feel like that story would be so cool as like a B or a C plot. You know, maybe there are some last remnants of human resistance and they fight over a pelican and who should be able to escape on it.
Okay.
You know, a Titanic situation, if you will. It shows the desperation of the humans. There'd be a lot of fight scenes between the Covenant and Flood, and Master Chief would sometimes watch from afar or go in to clean them all up. I think it'd be awesome to get some POV shots of infected Marines attacking the Covenant and their former allies. We could also see the Flood piloting various human and Covenant vehicles, illustrating that their intelligence is rising and that they can adapt to any situation. Again, like every episode, the threat of the Flood is raised. At some point, we cut back to Thalvadamy and Shipmaster, who seek to overthrow the Prophet of Stewardship and take control of the war effort, but they learn he's gone to the Truth and Reconciliation. With the Prophet gone, Thel assumes direct and complete control of the Covenant war effort, and none of the other elites oppose him. He immediately orders a strike team to find the Prophet and prevent the Flood from repairing the Truth and Reconciliation. After setting off the third phase pulse generator, Cortana tells Chief that she's located Captain Keyes on the Truth and Reconciliation. Before they head to the ship, they reach out to any remaining UNSC forces on the ring and manage to contact one of the few remaining groups. This group is led by Melissa McKay, who agrees with the plan to rescue the captain, and her and her squads board several Pelicans and get prepped. Having tapped into the ring's teleportation grid, Cortana transports Chief to the Truth and Reconciliation one last time.
That's actually kind of cool.
Chief arrives aboard the ship, which has been heavily damaged.
Yeah.
Skirmishes wage across the ship and its exterior as the Covenant strike team is overwhelmed by the Flood threat. Captain Keyes is here, though, and somehow alive.
Chief, don't be a fool. Leave me.
But this statement only makes Chief and Cortana more inspired to rescue Keyes. Now, when Chief and Cortana find Keyes as the proto-Gravemind, right before they punch into his face, it cuts to black, and then Captain Keyes opens his eyes, and it would play out like the terminal scene, where he monologues about his life, his daughter Miranda, how proud of her he is, and he desperately tries to keep the location of Earth a secret as his memories are tainted with the presence of the Flood. The Gravemind taunts him, manipulating his own memories against him.
You will not have me.
Just as Keyes was about to lose control and give up vital information to the Gravemind, Master Chief kills him and takes his neural interface. At this point, the Covenant BattleNet would be in complete disarray. Some troops would abandon the ring, others stay. It's complete chaos. As Master Chief sets out to escape, he runs into Melissa McKay and the remaining Marines and ODSTs. They're in bad shape, but doing a great job of clearing out the Flood. Melissa tells Chief they intend to use this ship to escape the ring, and John wishes them all the best. He sets off on his own towards the horse he rode in on. Melissa and the troops clear out most of the Flood on the ship and the remaining Covenant troops, but as they begin repairing the ship, she realizes something. If even one Flood spore, one infection form, were still alive somewhere hidden on the ship, and they managed to make it back to Earth, the entire planet would fall.
One single flood spore can destroy a species.
Melissa makes a difficult decision. She orders her men to halt all repairs, and instead they trigger the ship's self-destruct sequence, killing every UNSC personnel on board, and preventing the Flood from using the ship to escape the ring. However, the Flood would be hard at work, repairing the only other ship they could find.
Alright, the Maw. How will they do this one?
With almost all of the UNSC either dead or MIA, Chief and Cortana fly back to the Pillar of Autumn. On board, they see the dilapidated ruins of the ship, triggering flashbacks to happier times. Dinner and lunch in the cafeteria. There's a showdown on the bridge as Spark and his Sentinels attack Chief. Guilty Spark uses his Spartan laser face melter thing and singes a part of Chief's armor. Spark's laser does serious damage to Chief's suit. He's at his weakest point, bent through hell and back, and his Mjolnir armor is on the brink of giving up. This would also serve as one of the main reasons why his armor gets replaced and upgraded at the start of Halo 2, or Season 2. Spark then moves into the interior of the ship to gather all information he can about humanity. He learns everything about the Spartan program and uses this knowledge to taunt Chief. Cortana and Chief fight their way through the ship, encountering fierce resistance as Sentinels, Covenant, and Flood all fight each other. But he uses these battles as a distraction to arm himself with a rocket launcher and sets about destroying the ship's fusion reactors. It'd also be cool to have a scene of him fighting Invisible Flood, just saying. Throughout the time on the Pillar of Autumn, Cortana desperately tried to contact any survivors and manages to contact PhaynIngmar. As Chief destroys the last fusion reactor, he and Cortana head to the rendezvous point to evacuate. Meanwhile, Johnson and a few others find a downed Pelican and begin making repairs to it as they fight off waves of the Flood. Now, when Master Chief arrives at the rendezvous point, of course, PhaynIngmar is being attacked by Banshees and their fuel rod cannons. He jumps on the back of the turret and starts blasting, destroying both Banshees. But it's too late. Chief watches as the flames engulf Echo 419's Pelican. He peers over the edge as the ship plummets to the ground. She's gone. Master Chief, believing that his only way off the ring is gone, loses control of his emotions. He's angry that he failed his mission to protect Cortana. He's angry that he failed Captain Keyes. Then Cortana says,
Ship's inventory shows one longsword fighter is still docked in Launch Bay 7. If we move now, we can make it.
Chief instantly regains his composure and without hesitation jumps into the Warthog and fucking floors it. Cut back to Johnson and the Pelican is repaired, but several Marines die trying to get on board. They will escape mere minutes before Chief. As the clock ticks down to less than a minute, Chief ditches the Warthog. He jumps into the longsword, closes the door, and speeds off, right before the Pillar of Autumn explodes. Cut back to Thelvadamy aboard his fleet. As the last remnants of the Covenant have retreated, he watches in horror. Knowing the Prophet of Stewardship is dead, it's he who will take the blame for this colossal failure. Chief and Cortana reflect on the horrors and trauma they just endured, the lives of the good men and women they lost. The reason PhaynIngmar and Johnson should have a romantic thing going on is because Johnson manages to survive the ring. Now, if he and PhaynIngmar had a good enough romantic subplot, then a scene where Chief delivers the news to Johnson would be incredibly emotional. Wouldn't that just be awesome? We never see the Sergeant emotionally vulnerable.
Hey, look. It's finished.
No, I think we're just getting started.
As Chief says his last line in the first season, he takes off his helmet, and we finally see his face. Now that is how you do a fucking face reveal and earn it. And true to the source material. In a post,
I mean, to the extent, I mean, when it comes to stuff like that, where we've never seen Chief's face, or to the extent, like, you know, a perfect example, the death of Superman in Batman vs Superman. It has to be earned, because you have people that, although it is just a comic book or video game movie or show or whatever, you have people that have become invested in those stories. And to an extent, if you're going to do like a rendition or like a show of something that they enjoy, to be somewhat respectful to the source material and earn the respect of the audiences.
Credit scene, you see 343 Guilty Spark flying away from the wreckage. It holds on that shot for a few moments, and then, ooh, Charity appears in the background. So that's essentially how I would have rewritten the Halo TV series. You know, I didn't want to make this video like 2 hours and go into every detail, every nook and cranny of what I would do to adapt the main story into a television format, but I think you get the gist of it. I think exploring the Covenant side of the story and Arbiter's role in the events of CE is something we never really got to see. We got to read about it, but we never got to see it. At the end of the day, though, this is the end of our fever dream. I could barely manage to watch 3 episodes of the Halo TV series, but it was that uninteresting and painful. At this point, I think the showrunners have no choice but to continue the story they created. It'll take a massive course correction in order to make me interested in it again.
Oh, a man can dream, though. A man can dream.
Don't forget to post your ideas in the comments below. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did, and subscribe to the Ackman for more awesome content. Don't forget to order your special Air Up bottle using my link in the description and pinned comment, and use the code Ackman15 to get 15% off your entire order. All right, everyone, that's all I got for today. This is the Ackman signing out. Peace.
Okay, that was an interesting video. I will say it was an interesting take on like rewriting what a lot of people thought was a bad rendition or bad show of Halo. So honestly, how he puts it is, an interesting scenarios for the characters, and also giving more importance to the side characters that we only like briefly hear about. So yeah, that was actually really good. So all right. Good on the Eggman. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this reaction. If you guys have anything you would like to add, leave in the comments down below. Like, share, subscribe, all the good stuff. If you guys want to follow us on the social media, links are in the description down below, as well as our Patreon. And please check out our daily content and the weekly podcast. With that being said, this is Novakast signing off. Have a good one. Take care. And I'll see you guys next video.